So people, this is another one of those moments, man, where I gotta start the episode off the right way. I have to keep it a beam with y'all like I always do, like I always try to do at least. But I got to put up that thing that might have people a little alarmed in the beginning of the show, in the beginning of the Tudor Reviews podcast. People, yes, I have to put up, my goodness, a disclaimer. My God, I've got to put up a disclaimer here, people. This is gonna be some controversial. I mean, semi-controversial. It's all subjective at the end of the day. It depends on how if you like these things that I'm going to talk about or not. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like these are very unpopular opinions because the shit I'm about to get into, man. First and foremost, let me shout out the Cinemaniacs first and foremost. But also, let me shout out day one loyal Cinemaniacs member, Chris Jones, man. And if you guys don't know, please check out Chris Jones' Facebook page and YouTube channel, Overly Honest Movie Reviews. This is a guy, man. I have so much respect for this guy's movie, savvy. Just his prowess film wise, because the guy, like, one of the things I respect so much about this guy is that he understands. He's one of those few people in the universe, that actually understands in this day and age. Movies are movies. People are going to like what they like and dislike what they like. And it's okay if we all can't come together and like the same shit. He's actually one of the people, oh my God, go figure, that understands that. He doesn't take it to the extreme and send people death threats and tell them they're dumbasses because they don't like the same shit that he does and vice versa. Good guy, man. And does amazing movie reviews. Like I said, check out his Facebook page and YouTube channel, Overly Honest Movie Reviews. But Chris Jones, man, he actually inspired this episode. I was working on this outline earlier, got it finished earlier. I actually don't know if I'm going to drop this episode tonight or tomorrow, but just know I was working on this outline in the daytime, and I'm recording this at night. But I was working on this outline, man, and Chris had actually posted something, which he does regularly in the group. He had posted something about his journey through the Amityville horror franchise. Now, let me just, because I had to make sure. Let me just make sure I got this right. Now, what Chris informed me of, and actually what I saw, proof was in the pudding. I saw in his video. He has literally reviewed all but one Amityville horror film in that franchise. Now, the Amityville horror. This is going to be a good segue into this topic, people. The Amityville horror. I'm not the biggest fan of this series. I'm not the biggest fan of the original movie. If I'm not mistaken, the original movie came out in '79. And, it had James Brolin, Margot Kidder. I definitely like those two together on screen. Rest in peace, shout out to Margot Kidder. I'm pretty sure James Brolin is still with us. I'm not sure. If he is not, y'all know I mean no disrespect. I'm just not sure. I know for sure Margot Kidder passed away. Rest in peace, shout out to her. But the original movie it's not one of my favorites. I remember liking the remake. From what I remember, the remake was pretty decent. It was around the time where, Michael Bay was signing off as producer on all these New Line, Platinum Dunes remakes. You had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th, and the Amityville Horror was definitely one of those remakes that came out during that resurgence of of horror remakes at the time. But the one that actually I think is the best that I've seen, I mean, the jury's still out on that because I literally gave up after the second movie, not counting the remake. I've seen the first one, the second one, and the remake, bits and pieces of part 3, but I couldn't do it. I think the third one was Amityville 3D. But the second movie, Amityville 2, The Possession, which I think was a prequel to that original movie, that shit scared the fuck out of me when I was a kid. That last sequence where the guy, the son is murdering the entire family with the shotgun, that shit used to give me nightmares. I told Chris this on Facebook. I said, yo, that shit literally gave me nightmares as a kid. And I have yet to go back and rewatch that movie because I don't know what type of impact it's going to have on me. I just know that movie fucked me up personally when I was a kid. But this is the thing, as Chris is going through these movies he reviewed in the group on this video, this motherfucker is just picking them off, it looked like he's reaching into like a fucking, like a little cylinder of Pringles, just pulling shit out one after another. So what Chris goes on is to tell me that there are 33 and counting. He said 2 more are streaming right now. But 33 fucking films in the Amityville series. You have got to be. Listen, there's an Amityville shark. There's one with an Amityville shark. There's one with an Amityville vibrator. I shit y'all not, man. Y'all don't believe me? Go on Wikipedia and look up the Amityville franchise and just see how many fucking movies there are in there. And one of the things, I say that to say this. I told this man, I commend you for sticking with this franchise as long as you did. He literally watched like every Amityville horror movie there is, and there's like a couple more to go. But I'm like, bruh, you're a better man than me, man. I'm all for binging series and movies in general. I love film. I love horror. That's my shit. But 30 plus movies of a series that just seems to progressively get worse and worse. He said there was some in the middle of the road that were kind of like, you kind of tried, but not really. I give it like a 1.5 out of 10. It varies. But 30 plus movies, I'm like, come on, man. And you know what? While I said I commend this guy, I wouldn't be able to do it, man. I'm trying to tell y'all right now. Plus the Amityville, I know I'm going to slip into insanity at some point. I'm going to go into the darkest. What did Gomez Adams say in what was it, Addams Family Values or something? He's like, the dark recesses. That's exactly how I'm gonna be. I'm gonna start getting Shakespearean. Like I could never binge that series, man. So again, shout out to Chris Jones. But this is actually the segue into my topic here, people. And if you're tuning in and you saw what you're clicking on, you know what we're about to get into here. But basically, let me just start by saying this. In my defense here, I have, and this is some real shit, people, I have stuck by some of the craziest, silliest, and dumbest horror movie franchises ever. And I'm not being disrespectful here, but I'm just saying, now whether the series started off having promise or not, and then just took a swan dive into Schitt's Creek, doesn't matter. It's subjective, people. But for me personally, I feel like I'm pleading my case here because I don't want anybody to judge me. I don't want anybody to judge me for these picks I have. I have 5 franchises that I couldn't commit to. I just couldn't stick with them long enough. But in my defense, I have stuck by the Pumpkinhead series. The original Pumpkinhead is classic. It is classic. Rest in peace. Shout out to Stan Winston. I have a soft spot more so for the second movie, Pumpkinhead 2 Blood Wings. Shout out to Jeff Burr. I think that movie is a horror geek's wet dream. It's got tons of horror cameos in there. Linnea Quigley. Y'all get the idea, man. If y'all don't know how I feel about the Pumpkinhead series, then check out there's an episode I did in regards to the new Pumpkinhead remake that's supposed to be in the works. It's called Bolted Doors, Windows Barred. And you guys check that episode out where I just talk about the franchise overall and how I feel about the remake and stuff like that. But basically, I did an intoxic commentary on Pumpkinhead 3. I knew it was going to be fucking garbage. I just didn't know it was going to be that trash. But honestly, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. That movie was so bad that I didn't even bother with part 4. I think part 4 was called Pumpkinhead 4 Blood Feud. And I just couldn't do it, man. But I stuck with it for the most part, man. Y'all got to give me credit where the credit's due. I've stuck with the Leprechaun series. Each and every single Leprechaun movie, man. And they get worse and worse. But let me tell y'all something. While that first Leprechaun movie is actually something of a magical experience. That was not a Lucky Charms reference, by the way. I did not do that on purpose, I promise y'all. But honestly, back during my stoner era, Leprechaun 4 in Space and Leprechaun in the Hood are probably the best ones to watch. And even to this day, still the best ones to watch. And I enjoyed Leprechaun Returns for what it was as a direct sequel. They jumped on the bandwagon of the direct sequel trend. And it's actually a decent follow-up to that first movie. It takes place at the same farmhouse as the first one. But I actually am in the minority that actually kind of dug Leprechaun, Leprechaun Origins, where they made him kind of like a monster as opposed to an actual leprechaun. It was like a creature feature, so I dug it. But I've stuck with the Tremors series. There's 7 Tremors movies. I think we stopped at Shrieker Island. I'm not gonna spoil that movie for anybody, but something happens in that movie that changes the entire fucking franchise as a whole. So I don't know how the rest of that series is gonna go, but Tremors I actually give a pass to because it is the Fast and Furious series of creature feature films. They just get crazier and crazier. They evolve the graboids each and every time, and they're still entertaining as fuck. They're very cheesy, but they know exactly what they are. I've stuck with the Toxic Avenger series. Those are actually guilty pleasures, so we're not gonna talk about Toxie. Plus, he's got a remake with Elijah Wood and Peter Dinklage coming out, and I'm kind of worried, but I'm getting way more and more curious about that film. I've stuck with the Wishmaster series. Didn't make it all the way through Wishmaster 3 because after part 1 they just get worse. Part 2 is trash, but Andrew Devolf came back, and Jack Shoulder, is his name Jack Shoulder, the director of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, directed that movie. So it was good to see him back at his, at his horror shit. But Wishmaster 2 is ass. The third one is absolutely garbage. The fourth one I didn't even bother with. So I've tried to stick with these series rather. Children of the Corn. I think I gave up somewhere along the lines of Children of the Corn Part 17 or some shit like that. I don't know what number they're on. There's supposed to be a gender swapped remake coming out. I have no idea. But I say that to say this, people. I've stuck with these series, man, as long as I could have. And there's only but so much shit I can take from a franchise. You know what I'm saying? It's like an abusive relationship at some point. It's either like an abusive relationship that I got to get out of, or it's like a relationship that I get into for like a day, and then when you realize you were drunk the night that you actually made that commitment, it's just like, you know what? I'm sobered up now. I got to get the fuck up out of here. I didn't mean what I said. I want to be single type shit. That's what that's like. But I got to talk about this, people. And it is pretty controversial because I know that these series definitely have their either cult followers, or they just have mainstream fans, man. I mean, I watch a lot of Comic-Con shit on YouTube, and these franchises are so beloved, even with how wacky and crazy they get. But these people are just 5 horror franchises I just couldn't commit to, man. And I'm sorry to have to do this first, because I was actually just thinking about this guy recently, and I want to say recently was the anniversary of his death. I think his death was in 2015 or 16 or so. Don't quote me on that. But we got to start with number 1, people. Franchises I just couldn't commit to. And my number 1 here, and this is in no particular order. Number 1 here is Phantasm. Now, people, don't click off. Don't click off. Stick with me here, and I'm going to make it make sense in my own way. Phantasm. Now, this series lasted from 1979 to 2016. That's a long ass time, man. That is a very long time. It outlasted a lot of horror franchises. It actually lasted longer than I ever thought it would because the series is so insane. And the funny thing about this series, which is very rare, is that there's only one director for all of these movies. Don Coscarelli. Hope I said that last name right. I feel like I did, and my confidence is a little bit better saying that last name, but I probably fucked it up anyway. I'm probably getting a little too cocky. But Mr. Don here, one director for 5 films in a series. That's very rare, but I admire this guy for that. I respect this guy for that, for sticking with his baby with this series. Like, imagine if John Carpenter would have stayed with Michael Myers for the course of like 12 movies. You know what I'm saying? That would have been so fucking amazing. Franchise would have went in so many different directions. This franchise goes in so many different directions, but 5 movies, 1 director. So the question is, how many of these movies did I survive and why? I gotta be completely honest with y'all. I have successfully survived 2 Phantasm movies. I'm not kidding with y'all. I have survived. I remember seeing the first one, but it kind of just went over my head. Like, the first one was one of those movies that if it was on TV, or like if my mom rented it back in the day or something like that, it just kind of was on, and I was just focused. I was focused on everything else that was going on, like playing with toys or whatever. If it was on TV, it's like, okay, there's that tall man that has a flying sphere that gives you an instant lobotomy. I didn't know what the fuck was going on in this movie, man. There's fucking zombie dwarves and other dimensions, and people driving hearses with all this mystical, crazy shit going on. The series is fucked. It's crazy, man. I just couldn't stick with it. But the first one, it's like, okay, it is what it is. I could not give you bit by bit, blow by blow that first film. I couldn't. There's certain scenes in there, of course, that stood out. Like when the guy who works in the mausoleum, he gets the sphere to his forehead and he gets the lobotomy and he pisses on himself. And then I think a couple moments after that, the tall man is actually chasing after what is that character's name? Is it Mike or is it Reggie? I think his name is Mike, the one that you see grow up as the movies progress. But he gets chased by the tall man and he cuts the tall man's fingers off and his blood's yellow. The shit's disgusting. But the second one, I don't remember the second one. I just remember the tagline was "The ball is back" or something like that. But now part 3, as ass as that movie is, that was the one we rented the most. Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead. I remember that asshole kid in that movie. He's very annoying now. That movie doesn't hold up well at all for me. And I used to think that kid was such a badass when I was a kid, but watching it as an adult, I'm like, I want to slap the shit out this kid and probably like not bury him somewhere, but just lock him in a closet and just go about my business. But some of the things I remember in that third movie was the fact that the kid threw a frisbee with razor blades in it, and he cut this dude's neck open, and he let off some he killed him, his girlfriend, and her friend, and the guy. Like it was so fucking crazy that these zombie goons were chasing after Reggie and the black girl Rocky and the young bull. It was all over the fucking place. But then I remember the ending. The little kid got grabbed through a window at the end, and then the movie just goes off. And I remember thinking, all right, that was kind of creepy, but the movie's still dumb to me. And I remember watching all the way through because we owned it on VHS. I remember watching the fourth movie after that, Phantasm 4 Oblivion. And there's not much I can remember about that movie except for the fact that Mike gets a sphere ripped out of his skull, and then Reggie goes into another dimension to go after Tall Man. And then there's part 5 after that. That was Angus Scrimm's last movie, rest in peace, Shot Out, man. It was his last movie, Phantasm Ravager. Never seen it, but I know that there's a big ass sphere that's the size of a planet or some shit like that. Listen, people, this series just ain't my thing, man. This just ain't my bag, baby. It's not. I can't get down with. I love Angus Scrimm, man. He's a boogeyman. He's a modern day, not modern day, but he's a classic OG boogeyman. He's up there with the Freddy Kruegers and the Michael Myers and the Jason Voorhees and the Candymans and the Pinheads. He's up there, whether people like it or not. However, this series is just something I could never get into, man. I could never fully attach myself to the plot, to the characters, to what it is that's going on. And even though Reggie and Mike are in the majority of all these fucking movies, I'm really pretty sure those are these characters' names. I'm sorry if I'm getting these wrong, people, but I'm pretty sure Reggie and Mike are in all of these films some type of way. I know Reggie's in there for sure because he's like the do-gooder who wants to do battle with the Tall Man and just rid the world of all this evil. But all the dimensional shit with the zombie, like, come on, man, it's way too much going on. Way too much going on I can't follow, and it's just like I just never took the time out to do it because I'm telling myself I don't even think it's going to be worth it because these are movies that I know for a fact, for me personally, have just gotten worse and worse as they went on, man. And I wish Angus Scrimm was a part. For me personally, I'm not saying that, I'm not basically shitting on people that love this franchise because I know people love the franchise, but for me personally, I wish Angus Scrimm had a better franchise around him. I don't know if that's what the director was going for. Like, I don't know if there was studio involvement or whatever the hell the case may be. I've never watched any of the documentaries or any interviews with this guy, but I just feel like it was such a wacky, wild horror series that I just couldn't attach myself to. But I'll tell y'all this. I'll go back and watch those movies before I watch number 2 series. And number 2 series, people, is The Puppet Master. Or Puppet Master. I think they dropped after the first movie. Because I guess the first movie they had to make it like The Puppet and then after that they just dropped the THE, which is fucked up, man. That THE did nothing to nobody. But people, the Puppet Master series, this is an interesting one, man. This series lasted from 1989 to 2022, funny enough. And I say 2022 because they've got another one coming out, people, so calm down. I didn't fuck up what I just said. But yeah, it lasted a hell of a lot longer than it had any business doing. Now, the thing about this, you would assume that a series that lasted this long had multiple directors, which it did, and rightfully so, because I don't know, I mean, there's two directors in particular that stuck with this thing for more than one film, but overall I think this series has had 8 directors, and the only ones to really come back more than once were Jeff Burr. Jeff Burr came back for 2 of the ones that I used to rent the most back in the day as a kid. Was Jeff Burr, the director, funny enough, of Pumpkinhead 2. He came to direct Pumpkinhead. God damn it. He came in to direct Puppet Master 4, and he came back to direct Puppet Master 5, and those were shot back to back, and you can tell because Gordon Curry's a reoccurring character in there. His girlfriend's a reoccurring character in there. They've got the same central puppets in there, and they've got those same shithead alien puppets from another dimension that are basically the bad guys. Puppet Master 4 and 5, I feel like that's why I kind of liked it, because I was all worn out after Part 3. Part 3 was pretty decent when they introduced Six Shooter, but 4 and 5 are the only ones that have, like, they have the best sense of continuity pretty much. I mean, the first two have continuity there, but 4 and 5 actually stand out, man, because they had returning characters, and I actually can appreciate that, even in a shitty series. And David Cocteau did multiple Puppet Master movies. I'm not sure which ones. I actually should have wrote this stuff down, but I did not. Now, 8 directors. Y'all would wonder, well, how many fucking Puppet Master movies did they do? They have done 14 Puppet Master films. People count them, 14, and there is a 15th on the way. Hence why I said 2022 is when the series, kept going. But the question remains, man, how many of these movies did I survive and why? So I have to be completely honest with you guys, man. I think I survived 6 of these Puppet Master films. So I did all right. I just couldn't stick with this shit, man. I did all right because I definitely watched the first one. Doesn't hold up well at all for me. I recently, well, not recently, but sometime late last year, I did watch Puppet Master 2. That is actually my favorite one because I love that they introduced the Torch. Torch was his name, not but they introduced Torch. I thought it was a really fucking creepy take on that Andre Toulon type of character. I don't know if that was Andre Toulon resurrected, but when the guy comes back and he looks like, fucking Claude Rains or the Invisible Man or something like that, and he's having the puppets collect like brain samples so he can become like, I don't know what the fuck is going on in that movie, but all I know is the guy becomes like this wax mannequin looking thing at the end, and then he's got a bride he's chosen at the end of the movie. It is a very, very fucked up movie, man. But I just like the work that the puppets put in that shit. It's a little creepy in some scenes, especially the opening sequence when they resurrect Andre Toulon out the grave and his arms just slowly rise up. It's almost like a Universal movie monster type of scene. And I love that it was the puppets that actually brought him back. That's how much they wanted their master back, pun intended. But I definitely survived Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge. And that was the one where they went Nazi Germany. And I remember the guy, what was his name? Well, I think that actor's name is Richard Lynch. Is it Richard or David Lynch? The guy who played the principal in Rob Zombie's Halloween. I remember him being in there. I want to say Peter O'Toole was in Puppet Master 3. I might be wrong, but like I said, I dug it because they introduced Six Shooter, and Six Shooter was always a badass to me. He was a great addition to the puppets. I survived Part 4 and Part 5, and then I think after that was maybe Curse of Puppet Master. Never saw it, but the 6th one that I survived was, and I tried this out, people, and I remember regretting the shit out of it. This is when I just officially gave up on the series. I remember buying on VHS Retro Puppet Master, and I was like, this cover's weird because these don't look like my puppets, but I'm like, oh, it's a prequel. This is about, and I was a kid. I'm like, this is about what happens before the first movie. And then I looked closer at the front cover of Retro Puppet Master, and I'm like, oh, that's a prototype version of Blade. Oh, that's a prototype version of Tunneler. He's just wooden, but you can see the little tunnel and cone thing on the top of his head, the drill. I said, okay, I'll give it a chance. Movie was fucking garbage. That shit's trash. First of all, let me say this, man. Puppet Master is luckily to even have a cult following, and I'm not being mean here, people. I'm just saying. All right, let's keep this shit real. All the way real, people. Let's keep it a bean. You mean to tell me, like, Chucky's one thing, all right? And that's still a silly concept, even though the first one is the only one that's even remotely close to being scary. Chucky's one thing, because it's a fucking doll. You mean to tell me somebody can't kick the shit out this doll, or shoot it, or stab it, or just pull its head off, or its arms, or just throw it somewhere, run it over with a car afterwards? Anything. Chucky's one thing, all right, whatever. Dolly Dearest, all right, whatever. I want to say I'll even give y'all demonic toys because they got like powers and shit, but not really. It's just a fucking Jack-in-the-Box, an evil-ass bear, and a perverted-ass baby. But funny enough, demonic toys went up against Puppet Master in a crossover movie. Actually, one of the first crossovers before we got like Freddy versus Jason and shit like that. Go figure, man. I'm like having an epiphany, people. It all comes full circle on the Tudor Reviews podcast. But anyway, y'all mean to tell me these little sons of bitches are running around a hotel Like, y'all just that oblivious to everything. Nobody has peripheral vision. Nobody has contacts or glasses to see these little fuckers running around this hotel, tripping people, cutting people's throats, cutting people's fingers off, and spitting leeches into people's mouths. Listen, there would be an expectancy of maybe 2 movies maximum in this fucking series. You got me kidding. Listen, listen. There's no way. There's no way. Now, the only way I feel like this would work is if they remade this shit and they made the puppets bigger, much bigger, but not too big. Like, don't make them like, like the Chucky doll, but make the puppets unusually big to be puppets. Like, make them like ventriloquist dolls almost. Just big enough to be intimidating. But even then, they're fucking dolls. They're dolls, man. The only ones that actually used to, like, Blade used to creep me out because he was the leader and he was just a little too fucking calculated for me. He was always in charge. Pinhead, I think that's his name, Pinhead. The one with the little ass head with the big ass hands. He used to scare the shit out of me because it's like, why are you this size and you have the strength of 10 men? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Tunneler used to scare the hell out of me, and Six Shooter only used to creep me out because he had that smile and he had that little, that little French little, margin of a mustache that he had on. But come on, man, puppets and shit. Like, no, I could not attach myself to this movie because they just got worse and worse. I feel like they just really started focusing on the violence at some point. And I'm not saying Puppet Master was one of the most character-driven, franchises of all time, but when it gets to the point where I'm rooting for the puppets, there's a big fucking problem here, man. Now, Puppet Master 3, of course I'm rooting for the puppets. Fuck all them Nazis in there. I want them to kill everybody. I wish Six Shooter would have mauled everybody down, but, like, this is why I like Puppet Master 4 and 5 so much, is because Gordon Curry, like, he literally became the new Puppet Master, and he's like, listen, y'all can kill motherfuckers, but just don't kill me and my girl. And, if you gotta kill somebody, if you have to, there's 2 little ugly motherfuckers from another dimension and this big guy who looks like Pumpkinhead and his eyes are glowing. Those are the ones y'all target, not I and not my woman. But come on, man, it's just such a fucking silly series, and there's no reason. They even had a Blade spinoff where it's just him. It's just him killing people. This motherfucker got so fed up with the sequels and with his squad that he went off on his own little ventures. And I'm like seriously, man, come on, man. I just wasn't buying it, people. Wasn't buying it at all. And I'm sorry, because I know this series has its fan base. I want to say Phantasm has way more of a fan base than Puppet Master, but you never know, man, unless you actually go online and do like a poll or, get the numbers yourself from, go door to door with people. I wouldn't recommend it nowadays. But number 3, people, while we move on. Number 3, it actually hurts me, man, because I wanted to stick with this, man, because I was on it from the rip. This is a series where I have to be in a certain mood to watch it. I don't just pop up like, yeah, man, I want to watch this. No, I have to prepare myself like, all right, man, you about to see some of the craziest shit you ever seen in your life. But my number 3 franchise that I just could not commit to is Hellraiser. Listen, people, don't lose me. Hear me now, people. Now, the Hellraiser series lasted from 1987 to present 2022. That's because we have one on the way. We've got 2 on the way, actually. We've got a TV series and a movie on the way, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, Hellraiser, man, like I said, this is a series where it hurts me because I really tried to stick with it, man, but at some point I just couldn't do it. Enough is enough. And I feel like as long as I try, then I won't be punished, if I have a nightmare in the labyrinth, Leviathan and all of that type of shit. I don't want them to hear me somewhere within these walls and just feed off of that negative energy I'm about to put out for this. And it's not that I hate the series, it's just that I got to throw in the towel at some point, man. I got to wave the white flag and let them know, like, look, man, I don't want these problems in my life. I tried to let y'all, like, bring these problems into my life. I did try, but listen, people, this series has had 9 directors for Hellraiser series. Big surprise, right? Clive Barker was actually the first one to take a stab at this, but Rick Bota is the only one who has actually come back for multiple sequels, 2 in fact, and I think he did I want to say Hellraiser Deader and Hellraiser Hellworld. I think that is the 7th and the 8th movies in the series. One of those movies had Lance Henriksen. I want to say it was the 8th movie. Didn't get that far, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, we have had 10 movies with an 11th on the way and a TV show. Now, I think I did the math right there. But I think David Bruckner is directing the movie the live action. I said the live action as if we had a fucking CG version of this film. David Bruckner, don't quote me on this because I might have these Davids wrong, but David Bruckner, I think, is doing the the on screen, the big screen adaptation for Hellraiser, the remake with the female Pinhead in there. And I know a lot of people are like, oh well, Pinhead's not a girl. It was actually part of one of like the comics or the novel or something like that. So everybody relax. I don't mind a female Pinhead. I don't. They might just make her. They might make her kind of attractive under that makeup. I have no fucking clue. But David Gordon Green is going to be the one stepping into the Hellraiser series, if I'm not mistaken. Now, please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I know I have those I think I have those Davids wrong, but I'm pretty sure one of them is they're separate directors. One of them's directing the TV series, one of them's directing the movie. But yeah, man. 10 movies, an 11th movie on the way. How many of these movies did I survive and why? Oh man. Now, again, Hellraiser is one of those movies where when I saw this movie as a kid, actually I saw the second one first, and I feel like that's why I feel like that's why I feel like it's my favorite of the bunch. And it is probably the most disturbing, nightmarish film I've ever seen in my life. Hellraiser 2, man. This was a movie we didn't rent it back in the day. I remember my mom buying a VHS. I remember that New World, the little red logo popping up, and I remember when it comes on, Pinhead says, "We'll tear your soul apart," and then you get the recap from the first movie. That Hellraiser 2 is fucking nuts, man. But these movies overall, let me not get sidetracked. These movies I have to be in a mood to watch. Now, yes, I love horror. Yes, I'm a gorehound. But this is a different level of horror for me. This shit, especially Hellraiser 2 in particular, took me places that I didn't know I was allowed to go. I wasn't prepared to go. And as soon as I got there, I wanted to fucking come back home and stay there and never go back to these places again. Now, I do watch some of these movies every once in a while, preferably the first three. But like I said, man, this is a series where there, like, anything goes. Anything goes. Sex, drugs, murder, sadomasochistic torture, whatever you want is in these fucking movies, man, if you're into that shit. So I survived 5 of these movies. I did. I survived the first one. I think Clive Barker made a statement when he made that first movie, man. It was something unlike anybody had ever seen before. And I'm pretty sure when people left the theater, they either went home and had a shower, or they just went and took a bath, or they probably just went home and just stared at a wall for 15 years or some shit. I have no idea, but I know that first movie definitely left its mark. The second one is just way crazier. They took it to the extreme. The third one, I made it through. I actually like the third one. I know a lot of people hate it. I know this is when the series started to get very cheesy as far as the Cenobites and the concepts go. But I really have a soft spot for Hellraiser 3, man, because I just thought it was so cool that Pinhead literally, like the subtitle says, Hell on Earth, that he literally brought hell to Earth. And that club scene where Pinhead just massacres everybody with pool sticks and CDs and pool balls and just him liquefying himself and turning into like a glass shard, stabbing somebody in the mouth, ripping people's faces off. The chains are all over the place, man. Then you get that dope ass shot of the blood just slowly spilling while you hear the last remaining people in the club getting torn up. I love that sequence, man. And the Cenobites, they are cheesy, man. They're very cheesy. You've got the one that's got the CDs in his head. CD, DVDs, Master P, Charlie's. Like, you got him. You've got the bartender who shakes up martinis and this Molotov cocktails. You've got the guy who's JP Monroe, who's got the gears that are going on and off, whirring inside of his head. You've got Doc, who has a fucking camera lens that can project and impale people. You've got Terry, who just has an open throat with a cigarette inside of it. And she's kind of cute as a Cenobite. I'm just saying, I don't know. I like that actress a lot in that movie. She's like one of my weak spots for why I love, actually, both the actresses in Hellraiser 3. And I did see Hellraiser 4, Bloodline. It was when they went in space, and I wasn't sure about it. I do know I remember the opening being very sad. When Kim Myers from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, when her husband, she has to protect her son, and her husband gets his fucking head lopped off because Pinhead's forcing him to, do something with the box on the computer. Hellraiser 4 was the beginning of the end, because that was the last theatrical release for the series, man. After that, everything went straight to DVD, starting with the fifth one, which I actually did make it through a couple years back, Hellraiser Inferno. And I know a lot of people like this movie, but it just feels like a sleazy, dirty ass CSI episode with Craig Schaefer in it. And I don't like it at all because Pinhead's barely in the fucking movie. Now, I know that was the strength of the first movie where Pinhead wasn't really present, and when he was on screen, they made it count. But this shit, they could have took Pinhead in the box out of it and whatever Cenobites were in there, and it just would have been a sleazy ass straight to DVD, Dimension Films movie. And people would have been cool with that. I just don't see it as a Hellraiser movie. And those are the only ones I made it through. I tried to make it through Hellseeker, the sixth movie, only because Ashley Lawrence came back. And I heard that Ashley Lawrence is barely in the fucking movie. Somewhere Henry Cavill's in that movie too. Early before he was Clark Kent. But I tried, man. I couldn't do it. And then Hellraiser Deader, and then Hellworld.com, and then Hellraiser Revelations, which are fucking garbage. Then Hellraiser Judgment. I'm like, I can't do this shit no more, man. It's only, but first of all, the series is already an acquired taste. I gotta be in a mood to watch it, but y'all just keep dragging me y'all keep dragging me online at hellworld.com. You're dragging me Hellraiser Deader with all the fucking martyrs and the fucking cult that worships Pinhead. Then you give me this bargain basement ass Pinhead in Hellraiser Revelations, which was kind of like a mix between was it like a found footage movie? I'm gonna say it was a found footage film. That shit was ass. And that dude that looked like the dude that was Pinhead looked fucking terrible. Hellraiser Judgment. I tried it because the trailer, I was like, okay, this new guy playing Pinhead, he's got something. But maybe like a half hour into Hellraiser Judgment, I'm like, I can't do this shit, man. And I don't feel like the payoff is going to be sweet enough. Couldn't do it, people. I could not fucking do it. I can't do it. And Hellraiser, it pains me to say that I couldn't stick with this series. Now, there's a glimmer of hope, people. There's a glimmer of hope for the Hellraiser series because I am very interested to see what the remake is going to do with the female Pinhead and what a TV show is going to do. These are two different worlds they are about to juggle. I don't want to see them collide. I don't want a multiverse in the Hellraiser franchise. I don't want that bullshit. But they're juggling two acts right now as far as the Hellraiser properties go. And I think it was the TV series that Clive Barker signed on for to like kind of oversee as executive producer or producer, which I think is one of the best gestures you could ever get. Because as much as Clive Barker loves this character of Pinhead that he created, I think the novella was actually called The Hellbound Heart. But as much as he loves it, I feel like it has gone above and beyond him at this point. But for him to sign on, it's like, okay, maybe we will get some insane sadomasochist life, breathed back into this series. Who knows? But I'm very curious to see what they do with the female Pinhead and what they do with the TV series. I feel like a TV series is most certainly more fitting, man. And it always makes me think of Hellraiser 2. Hellraiser 2, if that entire movie would have been a series, like just a one season, one-off John, I would have been cool with that because it would have definitely expanded. We would have got to see more of the Labyrinth. We would have got to see more of Dr. Channard prior to him being Channard, more of Julia, more of the backstory for all the Cenobites, because in Hellraiser 2, they actually turn back into humans. You know what I'm saying? They turn back into humans after Dr. Channard kills them all. Spoiler alert. But yeah, Hellraiser is just one of those series, man. I just gave up somewhere along the way, man. I did try though. I tried, man, and shout out to Ashley Lawrence because I did try to come back because of her, but I just couldn't do it, man. Has she been in the forefront or something like that and been the main character? Sure, but I'm like, nah, can't do it. But number 4, people. I feel like this one, if it wasn't any series that was going to piss people off, I feel like it's going to be this one. And I don't want to piss people off, but I got to be honest with y'all, man. I have to. Number 4, people, is The Evil Dead. God damn it, people. I know. But listen, the Evil Dead series, and I'll get to why. Excuse me, people. Evil Dead, this series lasted a long time, man. Lasted from 1981 up to the present, 2022, because there is a film in development. And this series, funny enough, kind of like the Phantasm series, it has a lot of continuity with it. Decent continuity at that. I definitely will give it credit where the credit is due, but this one had the same director for the trilogy up until they did the remake. Sam Raimi did the first 3 films, man, and Fede Alvarez did the remake. The guy that did Don't Breathe. He's producing the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that comes out next month. It would be nice to get a trailer for that, but I'm not saying nothing. So we got 4 movies totaled in the Evil Dead excuse me, in the Evil Dead franchise, and the fifth, like I said, is on the way. And Lee Cronin, I believe that director's name is, that's directing the Evil Dead Rise, and I think that takes place in like a high rise, um, like apartment building. And I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer and trying to be an asshole here, but I've seen that done before. It was called Demons 2, and I think it was in 1986 or 1987 that movie came out, where all the demons take over this high rise apartment. Definitely nowhere near as good as the first one, but it's pretty entertaining. It's an Italian horror movie. If nobody has seen it, I definitely recommend you see Demons 2. You don't really have to see the first one to understand the second one, but there are a lot of nods to that. Well, not a lot, but there's more than a few nods to that first movie and the second one. But I definitely recommend those two films. Now, how many of these Evil Dead films did I survive, and why? And I gotta be honest with y'all, yo. And listen, if I pissed anybody off by putting this on the list, then this is where I hopefully win y'all back over. I made it through all of them. I made it through all the movies, people. I'm doing all right. I'm making progress. Only thing is, I didn't make it through the Evil Dead series. What was it? Ash versus the Evil Dead. I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it. And especially because it's not getting renewed, there's no reason for me to start binging it now, because I know if I really get into it, I'm going to be disappointed. It's like when somebody was telling me to binge the 2 seasons of Scream. And I'm like, okay, that first episode was decent. They setting up some character development and some red herrings, but they canceled it after 2 seasons. So why the fuck am I even going to get invested in this show? No, I'm not going to purposely disappoint myself. But I made it through all the films, people, all but the TV show. TV show looks a bit wacky. I do like the demon effects and like the humor in there, but I just couldn't do it, man. I couldn't commit to it. I think I made it like through one episode, and I'm like, it's all right, because I wasn't that big of a fan to begin with, people. Now, the thing about this series, The Evil Dead, it is a classic movie nonetheless, man. I'll never take that away from the film, man. And I'll never take away the fact that people love this film. And I'm glad that people love this movie. I'm glad they get so much excitement, inspiration, and just joy out of the film, and they get creeped out and grossed out. But The Evil Dead is something that I'm just going to say this, personally speaking, of course, this shit feels like it should have been an animated film. There's so much what's the word I'm looking for? Stop motion, certain effects in this film that just make this shit seem like a straight up cartoon. Now, maybe I'm being biased here because I absolutely adore Army of Darkness. If I had to pick one of the trilogy, that is my favorite as far as the Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi movies go. I do remember seeing the second one, and I love the whole Ash's hand gets possessed and his hand's running amok around the cabin, and then there's that moment where the hand is crawling towards, like, I don't know, the hand's crawling towards something, and there's like a POV shot of the hand crawling towards something while Ash is knocked out, and then Ash just stabs his fucking own hand in the hand, like with a knife. That didn't even make any sense. He stabs his own hand in the hand. But he stabs his own hand, and he's like, who's laughing now? And then he cuts his hand off, thus, giving us the Bruce Campbell that we all know and love with the chainsaw hand. He becomes a hero at that point, as if he wasn't in the first movie. But that first movie, man, it's just so fucking batshit bonkers, cuckoo, kachoo, crazy, that I just could never latch on to it because it's so wild. I don't know, maybe if it's like, you get a couple drinks in you and you got a bunch of homies over, or, you watch it like with a chick or something so she can be scared and creeped out or freaked out. Maybe it works like that, but me personally, watching it by myself, unless I was to do commentary for it and get it out to y'all, I never saw myself attaching myself to those first 2 movies. Now, like I said, Army of Darkness, there is tons of slapstick in that movie, but something about Army of Darkness just works, man. I don't know if it's the shit K&B was doing effects wise. I don't know if it's because Ash gets transported back in medieval times and that girl he's fucking with is fine as hell. I don't know if it's because Patricia Tallman plays the pit bitch that, Ash has to fight. I don't know what it is. I really don't know. I think Bill Moseley was in that movie too. He plays like the evil skeletal version of Ash that becomes like the king of all the skeletons and shit. I don't know, man. Maybe that's really is just my biased opinion, but I do love Army of Darkness. However, if I got to pick one out of all 4, I'm going with the remake. Out of all 4, the remake, there ain't really shit funny unless you point it out and make up your own humor. There ain't shit funny about that remake, man. They took that remake so seriously, and I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted out of a movie where people go to a cabin, read from the Necronomicon, and get possessed by demons. This is what the fuck I wanted. And it just holds no. Listen, people, y'all can check out my commentary for the Evil Dead 2013 if y'all want. It is definitely the Cringe City edition. I want to say part 2, but well worth it because they put their foot in those gore effects, man. I cringed and still do a lot watching that movie. But I just could never fully commit to the series because Ash, I understand why people love Ash. I mean, I had the Evil Dead, what was it, Hail to the King video game on Dreamcast. I used to love that shit, especially the fact that your chainsaw hand ran out of gas and you had to run around the woods and gas up your chest. Like, come on, man. That was one of my favorite, like, adventure type of games back in the day. However, Ash is just not, for me, he's not a character that I latched onto like, yo, that's the hero right there, man. That's my guy. It's like, all right, like I like Bruce Campbell, but Ash was not one of those characters for me that I latched onto and just like not only just Ash, but just the series in general, man. It's just it's so wild. Like I couldn't put it in I don't know if I could even put it in my top 10 horror franchises. I'm not sure, man. I would have to do a ranking of that. It's actually a good idea. But I don't want to piss anybody off, and plus I want to wrap this up before I get a little too long-winded this evening. But people, my number 5 here. Maybe I did do this shit in a particular order because my number 5, this shit is definitely, I just couldn't deal, man. And I recently revisited this series, not overall, but one episode in particular last year because it was the holiday season, and it definitely seemed fitting. And I remember putting names in the hat as far as which one I was going to do out of 1, 2, and 3. And I remember picking part 3. So, I'll let you guys know what it is. Now, my number 5 franchise, and the last franchise I just couldn't commit to, people. Drum roll, please. I actually should have played one. Silent Night, Deadly Night. God damn. Listen, people. Listen. This series is a fucking mess, yo. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. This series, and I was referring to Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, Better Watch Out. I did first time watch commentary for that last month, which y'all can check out if y'all want. Not a good time. It was not a good time when I did that, man. I'll let y'all listen to it and judge it for yourselves. Silent Night, Deadly Night. Where do we start? The series lasted from 1984 to 2012. They had a pretty good run. I don't know why. I think they ended stronger than they ever have been in the series altogether. The remake was the last one they did in 2012, and that is definitely low key one of my favorite remakes. I love that remake. Shout out to Stephen C. Miller. He directed that remake. He also directed Automaton Transfusion. What's that movie called with Dave Bautista? Marauders. He did that also. But yeah, man, there's been 6 directors. 6 directors. 6 movies. That means that everybody after every experience was like, you know what? Fuck this shit, man. I might not even celebrate Christmas anymore. I think anybody that probably worked on this film became atheist after this. And I'm not trying to be like blasphemous or anything like that or offend any, religious fanatics that tune into the series. Y'all know I have a sense of humor here, people. I can never lose my sense of humor. Because if I did, I wouldn't be having this episode right now. I wouldn't have made it through half the fucking movies I made it through to talk to y'all about it, man. I swear. I have to keep a sense of humor. But 6 movies, 6 different directors, man. Brian Yuzna, if I'm not mistaken, actually directed part 4. Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, The Initiation. Brian Yuzna is the director of, The Return of Living Dead 3. Very underrated zombie movie. It's like Romeo and Juliet with zombies. If nobody has seen it, I definitely recommend you watch it. It is a underrated fucking zombie movie. Did commentary for it if y'all want to check it out at your own risk because God damn, it was probably like my 5th or 6th episode, so I was very wet behind the ears. I feel like I still am. But how many of these movies, people, have I survived and why? I'll be honest. Out of 6 movies, I survived 4. I survived 4 of them things. I'm proud to say that because this series is a fucking mess. I'm not joking when I say that, people. Now, the first movie came out in 1984. Now, I completely understand why this is a cult classic, or just a classic for that matter. It depends on who you are and how you like it. I'll say cult classic, but I completely understand why. Killer Santa Claus running around. He gets a backstory. You see how he came up when he was a kid, why he's fucked up when he's a young adult. You see what triggers him to start murdering people, around the holidays. And it has Linnea Quigley topless in it. You can't beat that shit, man. I mean, look, Return of the Living Dead, Night of the Demons, Pumpkinhead, whatever you want to say. Linnea Quigley, Graduation Day. Linnea Quigley is topless in this movie too. But sad thing is she gets impaled on deer antlers by the guy. It's fucked up. But you know, I survived the first one. It's not a movie where I can be like, yeah, this part was crazy and that part, like, I remember a guy, I remember the backstory where the mom gets raped and murdered and the dad gets killed and the little baby brother is watching and the little young boy is watching. I remember that. I remember Mother Superior being a complete bitch, and I remember the guy getting his head cut off while he's sledding. I remember the Linnea Quigley scene. I remember the cop getting the axe to the chest. And I remember there was a shootout at the orphanage or wherever the hell it was at the end of I don't remember, people. The second movie didn't make it all the way through that. The only thing I remember from that movie is when the dude looks just completely insane and he's like, garbage day, and he shoots that dude through the trash can. It's one of the most hilarious, stupid fucking scenes I've ever seen in my life, man, but it is classic. People have that shit on t-shirts. Like, people have that shit as their profile picture on, on social media. So it's an iconic scene, but the movie's fucking trash. And I heard that half of the movie is just flashbacks of the first one. So, what did y'all do? Like, was it budgetary constraints? I think it might have been. I have no idea. Part 3, I made it through that, unfortunately. And like I said, y'all, you know what? Part 3, Bill Moseley deserves so much better. Bill Moseley comes back as a character from the first movie, and god damn, that movie is terrible. Absolutely ghastly. Like, I turn into Simon Cowell. He's like, that was absolutely dreadful, and you are the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm being nice here about part 3, man. That shit is a fucking stinker, man. And I really felt bad for Bill Moseley, but he just added another character in a horror movie to his resume, man. So God bless him for, loving the craft and loving the genre. He's very dedicated to the genre. So what's that, part 2? I made it through Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker, which had fucking Mickey Rooney in there. Mickey Rooney, man, was in that movie, and he played Joe Petto, and he had a son. He owned a toy store, and his name was Joe Petto, and he owned, well, he pretty much did when you find out the plot twist. I ain't gonna, fuck it, ain't no spoilers, people, because that movie's ass. His son was named Pino. Now, you get it? Joe Petto, Geppetto, Pino, Pinocchio. He fucking built this boy. His son, I'm telling y'all, this shit the movie's stupid, and you got some, I mean, for the time, I guess they were pretty wicked effects from Screaming Mad George. He's the guy that created, he did some of the effects for Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Master. He's the guy in particular that created the Debbie Roach scene. That shit is disgusting. Screaming Mad George did the effects for Silent Night, Deadly Night 5. But the movie it's fucking stupid, man. You got the boy who doesn't talk, the mother who, don't know who her baby daddy is and shit, and then there's this creepy guy who's following him around. Geppetto has created this fucking, this toy of a boy that wants to fuck the little boy's mom at the end of the movie. He's dry humping her and shit. The movie's all over the fucking place, but for some reason it creeped me out because that guy that plays Pino is just one of the most creepy people I've ever seen in my life. Like, if I saw this motherfucker like walking on the same side of the street as me, I'm gonna just act like I'm answering my phone, like, hello, yeah, oh, you on that side, all right, cool, and then I'm gonna just cross over on the opposite side of the street because that nigga is creepy as shit. And the fourth one that I made it through was the remake. I love this remake. If I had to pick one out of the entire series, it's like another one of those Evil Dead scenarios. I'm picking the remake because not only was this Santa Claus killer, we never saw his face. You see him making his mask in the beginning, and he's got like this creepy, it's almost like the Alice, Sweet Alice, like transparent mask he's got on, but he's got the Santa Claus whole get up, the whole beard and everything, so you can't really make out what he looks like underneath that little transparent face mask he's got on. But this motherfucker puts work in for the holidays, man, and these sons of bitches been so naughty. He is putting in work, man. He cuts this bitch's leg off with the axe and stuffs her ass in a wood chipper, and he does it slow. They don't cut away or anything. They show him pushing her ass, and he throws her leg down there first just to see if how the shit slushies up. Then he pushes her ass down there. I'm talking, he shoves her down there slowly, and you see him like just shaking because she's just grinding up in his fucking wood chipper, and then he walks away all bloody. He kills a little girl, the little asshole girl in the beginning where she's like, Mom, you said you were going to take me to the mall. And her mom's like, well, we were supposed to go to church, baby. She's like, fuck church. I'm getting in the car right now. Get your shit together, bitch. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, where's Dr. Phil when you need him? Or fucking, like boot camp or some shit like that. Bring them dudes on Maury to put this little girl in boot camp. But Santa Claus shows up at her door to kill her, and he tases the shit out of her until she starts foaming out the mouth and stabs her in the fucking face with a poker. He kills the priest because the priest is freaked out, stealing people's money and stuff. This dude is putting in all types of twerk, man. And the thing that I love about it is not only is he putting in work, these are all practical effects, man. Practical gore effects, man. It's mean-hearted. It is so fucking heartless. And Malcolm McDowell, I like him better as the town sheriff in this movie as opposed to when he was, Dr. Loomis in the two Rob Zombie Halloween movies, and Jamie King is in this movie, man. She's the remake girl. She's in the Mother's Day remake. She's in My Bloody Valentine remake. I like Jamie King and everything. So I think her as a hard as nails, deputy, I think she does really good in the movie, man. Other than that, it is my favorite of the bunch, but I couldn't stick with this movie, man, because with the exception of the first two and maybe the third one, all these movies you can watch all these movies separately and not have to see any of the other ones. The first one, watch it by itself, sure. The second one, they give flashbacks, sure, but it's like, okay, do I have to see the first one? Not really. Then the third one, they give flashbacks to the first one. It's like, do you have to see it? Not really. The fourth one, I heard, has nothing to do with any of the other ones. The fifth one, nothing to do with any of the other ones. And the remake is the remake. And you don't really have to see it to know, like, oh, well, they got this nod from here. They got the, the grandpop is like, Christmas Eve is the scariest damn night of the... Like, you don't really have to know that those were nods in the original movie unless you're like a completionist or a purist, whatever, whatever the title is you want to brand yourself with. But these movies all kind of function on their own, man. It's very much like the Children of the Corn series or some shit, where all these movies make up their own fucking continuity. They include what they want, they exclude what they want, and they don't give a shit, man. This shit just is all over the fucking place. And the movies, with the exception of the remake, these movies do get worse and worse after the first one, man. They just decrease in value. And I really feel like it's a missed opportunity because there's not a lot of Christmas horror movies out there. Unless you think of Silent Night, Deadly Night, Krampus for sure. That's the ultimate like Christmas horror movie, but it's got a lot of humor to it as well. Silent Night is one of those more mean-spirited ones, but this series had potential to be something. I don't know if they wanted to bring back the original killer in each one, which I think would have been a good idea. But, when you start going fucking, psychic, there's a blind girl in the third one and she's got a psychic link with the killer, Bill Moseley's character, Ricky. It's like when you start going psychic and cult initiations and demonic toys and shit like that, like you really don't have a handle on the series at all. These movies can just be their own fucking separate Christmas horror movies, and I feel like they just do it. They just keep the names just to cash in on a lot of franchises, man. And I hate that. Not just about this movie franchise, but I'm talking about in franchises in general. And this is just me wrapping this whole episode up, people, because we are getting like an hour into this. I feel like there are certain sequels that just attach the name to it, just for popularity's sake, man, just to put asses in the seats, whether it's in the theater or whether it's at home. Mainly at home, because a lot of times when these franchises, as we just talked about, when they go off the rails like this, they just become their own entities, man, and that's fine. But where the fuck is the continuity? Like it's not a contained franchise unless you have some type of storyline that continues on as throughout the rest of the series. Like I said, I stuck with Children of the Corn, but each and every single one of those movies is a standalone film because they don't have anything to do with the rest of them. The only thing that all the Children of the Corn films have in common is the term "He Who Walks Behind the Rose" and Isaac. I'll give the series this, if I can big up Children of the Corn real quick before we close out. Children of the Corn 1, 2, and 6. That's the trilogy right there. You've got Isaac and Malachi in the first one. You've got mentions of Isaac and Malachi in the second one. And you've got Isaac coming back in part 6. And you've actually got the children of the children in the first movie in part 6. So that's your trilogy right there, people. Boom. I just saved y'all like 1,000 hours of watching the fucking series. But, if I got to talk about like continuity, and I hate to just be a fanboy. I'm not really a fanboy. I'm just a big fan. Fanboys accept anything that's thrown at them with a property, with a franchise. I don't. I know how to point things out, whether it be Saw, whether it be Halloween, Friday the 13th. And I was actually about to make a point with Saw that people need to take notes as far as continuity and ongoing story goes. People need to take notes from the Saw franchise, because if you want your franchise to be successful and you want to keep fans glued, you want to keep fans attached, you want to keep fans coming back, like, oh, that's a story, that's a plot point from the last movie. Oh, that's a character that returns from the other movie. Oh, this is how they tie that together, blah, blah, blah. Please take notes on the Saw franchise, because all of this, well, this is pretty much a standalone film. This one is connected to part 2, but it doesn't have anything to do with part 12. And part 20, don't even ask me about that. Like, all that shit is dead, man. I'm so sick and tired of these franchises not being able to get a handle on this shit that they're dishing out. If that's the case, just fucking call it something else, man. That's a big fucking problem I have. Take whatever attachments you have. It's like I said with Hellraiser Inferno. It's not a fucking Hellraiser movie. It's a Hellraiser movie, of course, because that's what they called it. Pinhead's in there, and the box is in there. That's it. But I guarantee you, take the title off, take Pinhead in the box out of that movie, and it's something completely different. It doesn't even feel like a Hellraiser movie. Now, I'm not saying all the movies have to feel exactly the same, but you do want to feel like you're stepping into a Hellraiser movie at some point. You want to be like, okay, now I feel like I'm home again. But a lot of franchises lack continuity, man, and when you start when every single movie just gets worse and you're being a standalone film separated from the rest of the series and the rest of the sequels as it goes along, then I can't latch on to it, man. And, Evil Dead didn't do that. Evil Dead didn't do that, but, I have to single that one out because I feel like that pissed a lot of people off. But there's certain franchises that do it, and I still can't latch on to it. I just feel like what's for me is for me, and what's not is not, people. Like I said, this is all subjective, just my personal opinions. But my thing is, I need a sense of continuity. I need a sense of, okay, this is the character I'm going to follow throughout this series. Or at least if that character dies, I got somebody else I can latch on to. Or I got some type of, plot devices I can latch on to, or story points. I don't want my series to have a different fucking, theme every single time, man. God damn. Even with the fucking Halloween series, man, which is not perfect, there is continuity there, man. It don't matter. Pick your own timeline. There's continuity there, yo. The only reason they fucked that up, and I'm not including Halloween 3, because we already know what the story was with that. They wanted to do an anthology. They were done with Michael Myers. They didn't even want to do a part 2, but when they did, they didn't know how much Michael Myers would mean to people, and then, they did part 3. But, the only reason they fucked that up was with Halloween H2O, but even still, you could still follow along if you wanted to after part 6 and be like, okay, I don't give a fuck what they say. This is still a sequel to part 6. Jamie Lee Curtis just didn't mention her daughter, and she's still in the movie because she still was alive at the end of part 2. There's still continuity there, man. I just want these franchises to just not necessarily win me over, but just get y'all shit together, man, and keep it together. Like, in particular, Hellraiser. This is an opportunity, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We have a direct sequel coming, but these movies in particular, and when they do the Friday the 13th series again, and when they bring Freddy Krueger back on the big screen, and even Scream, the new Scream that comes out this week, when you bring these characters back, man, if you are relaunching your franchise, if you are rebooting your franchise, if you are doing a direct sequel in attempts to reboot your franchise, to reinvigorate it, get y'all shit together, man, and make sure this shit is airtight. I'm telling y'all, because you will lose your audience, man. You will lose your audience. You will lose your fans, man. Now, you will have the loyal day ones. I'm that way with a lot of franchises. But there are people that slowly back away from it, man. I know people that have told me, like, listen, man, I tried, but at some point when we got to part 38, I just couldn't do it no more, dog. And I'm like, damn, 38, man, I only made it to 76. Like, it's crazy, man. And then when you go on and on and on and on, like the Children of the Corn series, they don't know what the fuck they're doing at this point. I just feel like Children of the Corn series, they got to meet quota, or them niggas owe the mafia money or some shit, and they just like, listen, gun to their head, like, yo, you better keep pumping out these movies every 6 years, or we gonna blow your fucking brains out, burn your crib down, and piss on your wife's ashes, type of shit. I don't know what type of deal the Children of the Corn rights owners have set up, but they owe somebody some money. Because there's no way that they're still making these shitty ass movies, man. I feel like, and before we wrap this up, because I'm really about to wrap it up. Before we wrap it up, I feel like Children of the Corn is really one of those series that deserves a proper reboot. Some proper money behind it. Make it creepy. The orphan and the boy and all these kids getting possessed and monstrous kids in movies. is a big thing. It's a whole subgenre now. It's I want to say it's coming back, but then again, I want to say it kind of didn't go anywhere, but it's still very much alive in a lot of ways. So this is where they need to take full advantage of the Children of the Corn series to bring it back, like bring fans back to it, because you'll have the old school fans like, oh, I remember that movie from back in the day. I'm not going to see it. Or you'll have like new fans that are like, oh, I love movies about murderous killer kids. And that, it depends, people. You just have to get your shit together, keep it intact. And for me personally, get your shit together and keep it intact so I can be there for it. So I can stay there for it, rather. I want to be able to commit to these horror franchises. And I feel like when I said that, I feel like a number should have popped up at the bottom of the screen. Like, I want to be able to commit to these horror franchises. Call Romero Tudor at 555-55. Like, I feel like I really was closing out with like some type of like lawyer or law based commercial or something like that, just movie centered though. But y'all get what I'm saying, man. And I'm, for anybody that stuck around throughout this, it's not really a rant, but anybody that stuck around through this long-winded episode, I definitely appreciate y'all. I mean, y'all know I get long-winded only because I'm very passionate about these things, man. And again, I gotta shout out Chris Jones for the inspiration on this episode. I was not going to do this episode at the time, but having that conversation with him about the 33 Amityville movies and counting, it was actually inspirational. So did I say that twice? I don't know, people. Maybe I'm getting a little stir crazy right now because I've been talking too much. But again, people, shout out Chris Jones for the inspiration, man, and definitely check out his, like I said, his Facebook page and his YouTube channel, Overly Honest Movie Reviews. Definitely give him a check out, man. But people, as far as I go, y'all already know where to go, man. And if y'all don't, y'all can follow the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Radio Public, Podbean, and Podcast Addict. Shout out to Anchor. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Romero Tudor. Shout out to the Facebook movie group, The Cinemaniacs. And shout out to the Facebook movie group, The Horror Virus. And last, but certainly not least, shout out to the Tudor reviewers, the listeners, the lovers, the supporters out there, man. I'm not going to hold y'all. I was very hesitant to do this episode because I was stuck in my ways with doing commentary. But I'm not gonna lie, man, it always feels good to get back to actual topics at hand with you guys, man. A lot of people like these episodes. I don't know if people don't. I would hope that they do. But I know, I say that to say this, and I said this earlier, or not a couple days ago, I said this. I said, I know a lot of people probably get overwhelmed with listening to me talk over the movie, like listening to commentary. And those that don't, I definitely appreciate y'all, man. And I will keep the commentary coming. But, for the other demographic of people that listen to the show and like for me to have topics at hand and make certain points and get in depth into what I'm talking about, I got a lot of shit coming for y'all, man. I have not forgotten about y'all, and it actually it's a big relief when I do episodes like this, man, because I can get my point across in so many different ways, man. I can layer this shit out for y'all and pretty much make it make sense. But overall, man, I'm glad you guys are still tuning in, man. And we are still shooting. I think we're still at 14.6. Yep, we're shooting for that 15K, man. And y'all already know what's going to happen after that. We not stopping. We're not slowing down, man. It's fucking 2022, man. We got to bump this shit up a notch, man. I'm trying to have more guests, trying to do more interviews, trying to do more commentaries, of course. But I'm going to try to start doing these commentaries with guests on there. I'm not going to say who, but I've got 2 to 3, maybe 4 people in mind that I want to have on the show this year within the next couple of months for the commentary. But I promise y'all, I'll make it interesting. I'll make it a good time for y'all, man. I always try to make it a good time for y'all and make it interesting. And y'all know the love and support that y'all show me, man. I show it back to y'all tenfold and then some. So with that being said, people, yours truly, Romero Tudor. Another episode of Tudor Reviews in the can. I'll check y'all on the next one.